Have you ever considered that the outer beings in Elden Ring aren't gods in the way we think of them, but something else entirely? Something much closer to harvesters? Let me explain. We see the eternal beings in the abyssal woods, ancient entities beyond life and death, known as the Old Ones. They pluck human eyes when they are ripened with flame. Just like humans harvest crops or fruits when they are ready, these beings harvest something from life in the lands between. To them, it doesn't matter how essential it is to the person. Just as we take fruit from a tree without concern for the tree itself, these beings extract whatever they need from living creatures. And it doesn't stop there. They don't just take, they also shape. Selective breeding is something humans do to cattle and crops, changing entire species to better suit our needs. What if the outer beings are doing the same, selecting and altering aspects of life in the lands between to fit their purposes? Now, we know the greater will is a part of or an extension of a larger force, possibly something all the outer gods originate from. It sent the Elden Beast as a means to an end, enforcing its will upon the world. The primordial crucible, the original chaotic state of life, was altered under its influence. The greater will guided evolution, changing the nature of existence itself, bestowing intelligence upon life, but in return, demanding submission under its rules. Much like how humans breed animals for desirable traits, the greater will molded life in a way that suited it. But just as selective breeding can sometimes remove something vital, leading to the death of the organism, like wheat plants dying when their grain is harvested, the same can happen here. Some who have their fruit harvested, like those whose eyes are plucked, die, while others live in a symbiotic relationship, much like how humans milk cows and feed them in return. The Golden Order, then, represents a relatively less invasive relationship with life compared to the frenzied flame, which is purely destructive. But ultimately, both are foreign forces shaping life for their own benefit. Consider how the burial of the dead changed under the Erdtree's rule. Before, bodies were simply burned with ghost flame. Now, they are buried at the foot of the Erdtree. The greater will clearly want something from the dead, perhaps a form of energy, sustenance, or another resource we do not fully understand. Meanwhile, the ancient Old Ones harvest directly from the living. Everything in the real world operates on a dynamic of power. Kings take power not for the sake of ruling itself, but for the wealth and luxury it brings. But what would a god want? Wealth and control mean nothing to them. We don't seek to rule over a field of wheat. We cultivate it because we need what it produces. So what if the outer beings of Elden Ring aren't gods at all, but something more akin to cosmic farmers? They don't desire power in the way we understand it. Instead, they are dependent on life in the lands between for sustenance, each one wanting different things from it. And because of that, they are in direct competition with each other. Life is a major theme in Elden Ring. The Crucible represents the raw, chaotic aspects of life: horns, mutations, unchecked growth. The Erdtree may be an evolved form of the Crucible, or a replacement for it, enforcing laws that govern life in a more controlled manner. Great runes reflect different aspects of existence, such as Renala's Rune of Rebirth. Even destined death is a fundamental part of the Elden Ring, showing that in a balanced order, life and death must coexist. A healthy ecosystem naturally cycles between birth and death, but these outer beings have interfered, altering the natural flow of life to serve their own purposes. The burial rituals under the Erdtree, for example, may have been introduced because trees, in the real world, thrive on the nutrients of the dead. The Erdtree, as a divine symbol, might be taking this concept to an extreme, demanding that all life revolve around it to the point of gluttony. Trees are, metaphorically speaking, the purest form of life. They require no sustenance from other creatures, drawing energy directly from sunlight, air, and soil. They are the foundation of life, as all animals depend on them. So if the Erdtree is favored by the divine, it makes sense that it demands all life to sustain it in some way. And that's the real conflict. Every outer being wants to bend life to its own vision, but their visions contradict one another, putting them in direct opposition. The greater will fosters a relatively mutualistic relationship. Life flourishes under its rule, but only in a way that serves it. The frenzied flame, on the other hand, is like a farmer who harvests indiscriminately, slaughtering for its own gain, without care for what remains. In the end, the lands between isn't just a battlefield of gods. It's a field of crops, tended by forces far beyond our understanding. And the people, the demigods, and all living things, they're just part of the harvest.